horses to jump them and so on and so forth. You can get it from fence 2, and as you pass fence 2, if you haven't got one, you'll certainly be caught. The girl comes out like a rabbit out of a hole. Was that a sneeze? Anyway, it was square. Let's get back to the dressage. Or the well-schooled horse, I always think a better description. Well, it did quite well, had 2 7s and a 6. Now I see the difference to this horse. It's covering the ground, which the last one didn't. And though it was a little bit long, you did see a difference. If he puts his hat much further on the back of his head, he'll lose it. Good angle. Not quite flowing. He's keeping a reasonable rhythm. As I say that, he quickens a little bit on the circle. And the horse is a little bit long in outline. Now that was a very nice wide strap, but I rather think that the quarters were leading. From here it looked like it. But we will watch for the marks and then we'll know. Wasn't. It's movement 4, I think. 6, 7, 6. A little bit on the forehand here. Not as good as I thought it might be. When I'm talking about the framework, you see this horse, if you put a frame over it, the head would protrude beyond the short side, and so would the quarters beyond the other side, and the long side. It ought to fit into the framework to get the right outline. The head should not go outside the frame. If you don't understand that, you can say so when we finish with this horse, and I'll describe it more graphically and in gestures for you. Here again is tending to lead with the quarters. It's quite a good example of it, I think. But he does do rather good wide steps, which I do like. And again, the whole outline's a bit long, and so the quarters are getting left behind, the hock's getting left behind, instead of coming underneath it, and the wind's blowing all my papers about, and I'm getting in a mess. Now the walk. Well, they're quite good long strides, this. It does just over track. And it looks a bit of it's going somewhere. They are longish strides. But there you see it did a jink. Because it was made to go into the medium walk and then anticipated the strike off, and it's rather lost its impulsion doing that little bit down there. And now we have the medium canter, and I'm afraid it's a bit on the forehand here, you can see that, and it gives you the impression that it's a bit unbalanced as well. And it changed behind, I thought. Perhaps it didn't. You sometimes do imagine things. It definitely did there. It's putting rabbit hopping and changing all over the place behind. Just like a rabbit, isn't it, with the 2 hind legs going bump behind. Not very good. I don't know how much the knobs down there saw of all that. I don't think they saw it quite all, because it did start actually on the end of the circle. Those hind legs are not coming through. They're getting left behind, which is unbalancing the horse. And you see he has to put an extra leg down, as it were, to keep himself balanced. Must be rather uncomfortable to ride. Anyway, he can relax now as he goes on the walk. Probably scares all that little bit of canters over. The marks have been pretty slow to come through for that. And I don't know why, but the judge at C gave it 6 for all that, and the other 2 gave it 3, and I'm on a call with the 3 jobs. I think he's got his button pressed on 6 and has forgotten to take it off. I nearly jogged there. This is a disaster for the poor chap. This is a bit better than the other one. Now you see him, and I think there'll still be She doesn't accept the bit, this horse, for a start. The head went up there. The mouth is not open. But it's not balanced. It's not coming from behind, from my view. And it's on the forehand for another view. And there the quarters were coming in a bit. He hadn't collected them together after the circle. It's these hind legs that worry me. They're completely uncoordinated. It's really a disaster. I can't think why he's even getting fives. There, look at the hind legs. Just watch the hind legs. Quite interesting. You don't know what they're going to do next. He's got no control of his hind legs. I think there must be something wrong with the horse's back. This is why this is happening. You see there, changing again. Bet you they don't notice it. How bad about they are about this. Look at those hind legs. This are coming through the back. The back is, there's something wrong with the horse's back, I'm quite certain. So you can't really blame the horse. And he walked a step back and he hasn't really established himself as a horse at all. So rather a disaster in the canter work. And he will be well up in the 70s, I should imagine, if they've marked him as I think they should have done. Doesn't mean to say they have done what I think they should have done. After this exhibition, we have Special, ridden by David Bartram, 13 years old, and they completed badminton in the spring.
Scores for number 85.
So he had a horrid ride, poor fellow. He weren't very happy.
Good marks. Judge at H 114, judge at C 138, judge at M 130. Total penalty points 69.6.
Country in mind as he sets off on Miss France for Switzerland.
Balling Green, clear at Herbert's Hollow, negotiating it the long way round.
Troubleshooter Helen Bell with 20 penalties for running past the corner at fence 8. Has added nothing more to her penalty score at the moment, is now over 18 and down to the pheasant feeder. Well, Miss France for Switzerland over the first element of 3, now the second.
Well, provisionally we can confirm that Plantagenet and Stuart Bunteen had 26.8 time penalties, no jumping penalties. They did get a score of 86 penalties, which puts them provisionally into 7th place. Balling Green and Jane Holderness Rodham jumped the timber yard corner, fence A, B and C. They bounce down the hill and go the long way round to be sure. So they now go to the Waterloo gondola, fence number 9. That's Balling Green and Jane Holderness Rodham. Jane Holderness Rodham and Balling Green jumped the big drop at the Waterloo gondola, no trouble at all. So on down the hill to the water cascade.
Meanwhile, Miss France the fourth, number 86, is over the Burghley bridges and over the Chabanel wall at 6. Troubleshooter over 21 and 22.
Balling Green over the water cascade, the most direct route. So swinging round now to face up to the first of the main water complexes, the Upper Trout Hatchery. Jane Rodham coming to jump that the direct route. Drops into the water, just veers off to the left to jump the second half of the obstacle the slower way. Jumps it. Off up the hill towards the Maltings, that's Balling Green and Jane Holderness Rodham, number 85.
Seb Berger and Miss France the fourth, the slow but safe route through fence 7, Herbert's Hollow. While troubleshooter Helen Bell now coming to 25, the water hole.
Balling Green over the large part of the maltings, the direct route. 3 foot 11 in height, 5 foot 11 spread. Round to the chicken mound. Jumps up, bounces straight over. So Balling Green runs on up the hill towards the cross question, fence 14. Another one of these big Burghley type fences, 3 foot 11 in height, with a 9 foot spread at the maximum point of width.
Miss France the 4th, playing safe, doing it well at the timber yard corner at 8. Troubleshooter is now just coming back into the main ring here at Burghley with a big Citroen screen giving the pictures of around the course. Troubleshooter and Helen Bell at the Remy Martin glass and bottle.
Over new starter and just underway and heading for the first is David Bartram riding Special jointly owned by Mrs. Mary Large, Mrs. Sheila Hollins and Mrs. Pat Keel. Special number 87 on a score of 59.6. This combination completed Badminton earlier this year. They're over the first two.
Troubleshooter still taking a double handful with Helen Bell. Jumped the echelon rails at 28. Really fly through there. Helen Bell will be kicking herself for those 20 penalties at the timber yard corner as Miss France jumps in to the tri-tattery the first time, and like so many before recently, now take the longer route out.
Balling Green on and off the dairy mound, fence 16. So Balling Green and Jane Holness Rodham, obviously none the worse for their fall at the first of the bridges, at the Burghley bridges, fence 5. Special and David Bartram over the leaf pit rails. Down they go to the open ditch, jump that, so left-handed cross the entrance drive to the Burghley bridges, fence 5.
Miss France gives the maltings quite a rap. Seb Berger sits tight, now heads for the chicken mound. Certainly she gives that air. As Troubleshooter has finished, Troubleshooter and Helen Bell, 17.2 time faults, but of course 20 jumping faults as well. 37.2 to add to their dressage score for Troubleshooter will mean they're on 93.6 penalties. These are provisional, but that looks like the possible score for Troubleshooter.
Special and David Bartram up to negotiate the bridges on 2 strides at fence 5. Not risking that corner. Balling Green over Centaur's Leap. David Bartram and Special just throttling back to jump the direct route at Herbert's Hollow. This they do. So valuable seconds saved there. Just one inside that elusive time of 12 minutes. The score to beat still 61 and cool customer. It is achievable. Some 25 or so still to go in this prestigious Burghley Remy Martin horse trials. So Special, David Bartram, remember he started on a score of 59.6. He goes to the timber yard corner. Balling Green over the chestnut stump.
Just started on the course. One of the young talents that's always had a very good record here at Burghley, Leslie Law, riding Browns Hill Boy for Mrs. M. Harvey and Mr. M. Harvey. Browns Hill Boy, number 88, they're underway. A score for Helen Bell and Troubleshooter, 17.2 time penalties, 20 jumping penalties, 93.6. We can confirm the 2-day score for Troubleshooter.
Well, these riders during the last third of the competition, of course, having the benefit of the other riders' rounds and David Bartram, using a combination of the various routes that have proved successful throughout the earlier rounds. Over the Waterloo gondola, he opts for the in and out on one stride, and now heads off down to the water cascade. That's Special and David Bartram. They were absolutely spot on. The Phase B steeplechase time of 4 minutes 30. They head for the water cascade, fence number 10.
Leslie Law always been one of the young lads who really attacks across country, and he's certainly doing that in the early stages on Brands Hill Boy. Very well across the two bridges, and now going on to the Chabanel wall at 6. Meanwhile, for Switzerland, Joseph Berger and Miss France the Fourth over Centaur's Leap, and now going down to the Pheasant Feeder at 19.
Special and David Bartram, again choosing what is becoming a popular route, the direct way through the upper trout hatchery and the slightly longer way out, to avoid the risk of running out at the very narrow rail for the most direct route. Balling Green, Jane Holderness Rodham, is over the dog kennel and now in fact is through the water hole, having taken the direct route. So that score to beat, still 61. The Cool Customer and Charlotte Hollingsworth, with Brindley Powell and Spiderman just 0.8 behind on 61.8.
Leslie Law and Brands Hill Boy well through Herbert's Hollow. Very positive riding. It's the positive riding that Captain Phillips was hoping for, and certainly those that are doing it are the ones that are paying off. Seb Berger and Miss France over 21 and now 22, the Oak Tree turn.
Well, David Bartram didn't risk the direct route of the Chicken Mound. It has caused some problems, so he went the longer route there with Special. Balling Green over the Jubilee Ditch, so up to the arena they go, to the Remy Martin glass and bottle. That's Jane Holderness Rodham and Balling Green.
And so the Harvey's Brands Hill Boy turning to the gondola. Leslie Law opting for the one and rides it absolutely beautifully. Perfect position to land and give the horse every chance to get the undercarriage down, get balanced and get into his rhythm again.
Well, away from the start box goes Molokai and Dorothy Trapp, the United States of America, number 89. They're on a score of 56.2. The score they're aiming at is 61. Special and David Bartram over the Dairy Mound ramp, that's 15, and now off the Dairy Mound, fence 16.
Miss France and Joseph Berger straight through the water hole, the last of the trout hatcheries, going on to the Jubilee Ditch. They're clear so far for Switzerland. Meanwhile, Leslie Law survived a lucky moment in the trout hatchery, is now across the maltings and really has to reach for the chicken hutch off the mound. But Leslie presses on and he goes to 14 now, the cross question.
Well, Balling Green jumps the last to complete the course. Molokai and Dorothy Trapp jump the two bridges at the Burghley bridges, 2 strides in between. Jump it well.
Meanwhile, Brands Hill Boy goes up to the Dairy Mound ramp. Fences 15 and 16. Miss France very much on the homeward journey with Seb Berger through the ring and now coming to the echelon corners. Will he chance his arm here and go the direct route, save a bit of time? This is number 86 for Switzerland.
Well, David Bartram, one of the few to go the long route at Centaur's Leap, fence 18. Molokai. Just an anxious moment going to the final part of Herbert's Hollow, but a quick adjustment by Dorothy Trapp ensures that they negotiate the quick route without penalty. Provisional score for Banning Green, 79.6 time, 60 jumping, 209.2.
Miss France the fourth, across the corners as we thought at the echelon corners, and now 2 for home. Number 86 Seb Berger, who competed in Samuel in the spring. While waiting to start, nimble Norseman Julian Dollar, that's number 90 in your programmes, as we get into the last quarter of this competition. It's still not over yet by any means. Now for Switzerland, this is Joseph Berger. Joseph with his own mare, Miss France the fourth, for 86. Their score at the moment, 134.4 penalties. Jumping for Miss France the fourth, 1.75 time, 156.15 the final score for Miss France the fourth for Switzerland.